Hello everyone and welcome to Organically Ashley. My name is Ashley, and if you are here for the first time, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Let's just jump into it. So this video is about how I plan to lose an additional 90 pounds without starving, cutting out my favorite foods. The real goal here is to create sustainability without losing my mind. I have been working on a glow up for the last 2 years. I'm still not quite there yet, and it is literally because I have a lack of accountability. So that is the whole reason for this entire YouTube channel. I'm going to be sharing the process along the way, so you're welcome. So if you don't personally know me, I am a single mom of 4 kids. I am currently running 2 businesses, and I also have my brand that I've been working on growing, Organically Ashley. So today I'm giving you the real behind the scenes information on how I am going to accomplish this. So over the last 2 years, I have slowly worked on losing about 60 pounds. My absolute heaviest weight, as much as I really don't want to share this, I will, was 287 pounds, I believe, at my absolute heaviest, which was about a little over 2 years ago. Since then, I have joined a gym. I have worked on nourishing the relationship that I have with food, because I realized growing up, a lot of what I learned about food and a lot of the habits and things that I've picked up were really unhealthy. So I have been working on being a lot more mindful with my eating, as well as paying attention to how food actually makes me feel. And then in that 2-year process, I did realize that I also have ADHD, which also contributed to a lot of binge eating, which I had absolutely no idea that that was a thing. I didn't realize the link between ADHD and the impulsivity as it relates to food. So that has been a real major struggle of mine and has really attributed to the difficulty that I face with losing weight. So 60 pounds in 2 years, a win is a win. A win is a win, a win is a win. I'm not gonna ever feel bad about that, because I have been trying to lose weight for well over 10 years. I have struggled with it. I always felt like I was just drowning under all of my responsibilities, and I always found that I was putting myself last. But it wasn't until I finally left a toxic relationship that I was actually able to focus on this goal that I've had for most of my adult life. If you know, you know. If you've ever been in a toxic relationship or a toxic situation, you know how much that really does affect your mental well-being. Maybe I can talk about that in a whole other video, because I feel like that's like a podcast and a half. And if that is something that you are struggling with, girl, I'm here for you. I've been through it, okay? And I've spent the last 2 years working on just my mindset alone, trying to fix some of the toxic ways of thinking throughout my 15-year relationship. Anyways, less on that, more on what this video is about. But yeah, so if you are a busy mom as well and you are looking for some kind of solidarity in this department, I'm your girl. Subscribe, comment, and I will be here for you along the way. So the goal is to not spend 3 hours a day in the gym, because who really has 3 hours a day, unless you're a single person with no kids and just one job that you have to focus on. You have all the time in the world, really, but us moms, we don't have that luxury. So the goal is to not be at the gym all day, nor do we want to be eating like a rabbit. Eating like a rabbit is really going to take the joy out of life for you if you are anything like me. Let's not do that. So I'm going to be talking about what I'm eating, how I'm moving, and what I'm tracking to finally stay on track and stay consistent with this goal. The first thing that I did, and it's something that I do regularly as I lose weight, because the numbers are always going to be changing as you drop weight, I used an online calculator. It's a TDEE calculator, and you're going to use that to figure out what your maintenance calories are on a regular day-to-day basis. So when you go into the calculator, you want to put in your current weight, your body fat percentage if you know it, your height, and your age. And then you're also going to add your activity level. And with that part, you really do need to be honest with yourself about how active you actually are. I personally find it better to put in that you are sedentary, because on days when you just don't feel like doing anything, you can still win the day by staying in a deficit. So if you are eating your maintenance calories and you add movement to it, you're creating a deficit in order for you to drop body fat. That's the whole goal behind that. That's why I use the TDEE calculator. I did that to figure out how many calories I burn in a day, which is about 1,600 calories. The calculator that I use is from tdeecalculator.net. It does also tell you, so if you do light exercise, moderate exercise, or heavy exercise, or if you're an athlete, it will tell you how many calories your maintenance would be at that activity level. Because my maintenance calories are around 1,700, I typically eat between 1,600 to 1,700 calories a day, but how I create a deficit is by adding activity. So I do really like to strength train. With that, as well as getting about 10,000 steps a day, it puts me into about a 500 calorie deficit every single day, which over the course of a week works out to be about 1 pound of body fat. That is if I can stick to the 1,600 calorie every single day, which a lot of times that is not the case. And that is what I struggle with the absolute most. Okay, so now with what I am eating. This is a bit of a breakdown of the type of foods that I eat on a regular basis to hit my 1,600 calorie target. Every single morning, I start my morning off with a cup of coffee. That is the one thing that I will never give up. Most mornings I have an egg scramble, and I scramble that with extra egg whites. So I will add half a cup to 1 cup of egg white, and I'll season that so that it's nice and tasty. And what I used to do is I used to add an extra half a cup of cottage cheese because that gives you an added protein boost. Sometimes I'll pair that, like I'll add spinach or other vegetables. So I will do that, and on the side, I'll have maybe like a handful of fruit for lunch. What I like to have for lunch is typically a smoothie. Because I am in the kitchen so much cooking for everybody else, I do not like to be in the kitchen any longer than I need to be. Again, that is another area where I sacrifice myself for the sake of everybody else. If you have not tried Good Protein powder, I really recommend that you try it. I will probably put a link in the description down below for you to get 25% off to try it because I'm obsessed. I used to stick with Vega because it was readily available. I could just grab it from the store. I would always get the vanilla flavor because it goes good with pretty much anything that you use it with. But Good Protein, they have so many different flavors and they are all so good. And this is how I make my smoothies. I will put 175 grams of plain low-fat Greek yogurt that has about 17 grams of protein in it. And then I will add a scoop of Good Protein powder. Lately, I've been really digging their chocolate fudge flavor. That one or the strawberries and cream is really, really good as well. And I will mix that as well with another source of protein. From Costco, I buy the Fairlife chocolate milk and the Fairlife protein vanilla. So I will add a bottle of that to the smoothie as well, and that gives it an added 30 grams of protein. So we've got 30 grams of protein from the Fairlife, got 17 grams of protein from the Greek yogurt, and then we've got an additional 21 grams of protein from the Good Protein powder. That gives us a total of 68 grams of protein in our protein shake alone. Ta-da! And then for dinner, because again, I really dislike being in the kitchen longer than I need to be, and I also don't like to eat the same foods that my kids eat, I have a subscription to Factor. This is totally not sponsored. I'm putting this out there because I came across it and it has been a complete game changer for me. I love Factor meals. I always select the ones that are high in protein. I usually work my day backwards from there because they range in calories from like 500 to like 700 calories, depending on the one that you select. And they typically have at minimum 30 grams of protein in that meal alone. I will scan that and I'll talk about the tools that I use in a minute and then work backwards in my day from that to see how many carbs, proteins, and fats I need to have at each of my other meals. These meals are super convenient. They keep me from ordering takeout, ordering a pizza, or Uber eating or whatever for dinner. And then I find that by the end of the day, I'm good. I'm good in terms of food. I've hit all of my macros. I've kept my sugars low. That is basically a full day of eating for me. I know it doesn't sound like much having scrambled eggs, a smoothie, and then a Factor meal, but that keeps me within a 16 to 1700 calorie range. The next thing that I also am focusing on is my movement. I signed up for the gym about 2 years ago, and I've been kind of struggling with staying consistent. The only time that I can really go to the gym is like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's early. It's very early. And I love going to the gym that early, but I do find that by the end of the day, I put my kids to bed and I'm conked. The goal is to work out 4 days a week, 2 lower body days and 2 upper body days, and then have an active rest day. And then every single day, the goal is to hit 10,000 steps. There are some days when that is a struggle for me, days when it's like poor weather out and whatever. So I do have a treadmill that I had installed in my basement. I am planning on doing the 12-3-30. I'm gonna try and challenge myself. Walking is absolutely the easiest thing that you can do in order to burn fat. It puts you into zone 2 in terms of your heart rate, like the levels of your heart rate. Zone 2 is optimal for fat burning. So when you are just doing steady state walking on a treadmill or outside, it doesn't feel like you're really working out, but you are elevating your heart rate enough to get into that zone 2 range where you're going to be burning fat. That is what the goal is. So I'm going to try and do a 12-week challenge to incorporate more walking and make sure that I am consistently hitting that 10K steps a day. Another thing that I also wanted to know is when you are working out, you also want to focus on progressive overload. When you're doing progressive overload, you want to increase the weight every single week or every 2 weeks or whatever, so that you are pushing yourself a little bit harder every single time that you work out. How I am tracking it all. I do use a few tools to help me with tracking everything, and I'm going to go over that with you right now. So the number one thing that I do use for tracking is my Samsung watch. This baby is my absolute favorite purchase that I have made on this entire journey because it tells me exactly how many calories I'm burning throughout the day. It tracks my steps. I can use it to track my water intake. I use it to track my heart rate. I use it to check the weather. I use it for literally everything. This was probably the best investment that I have ever made in my fitness journey. So I use it also to track the calories that I burn when I am working out. You just put it into like a workout mode and it'll track the intensity of that workout, which is really cool. The other thing that I use is my scale. So I have a couple scales. I've got a food scale. I don't cook for myself. Like I said, I use Factor, but when you are cooking, you can use it to measure out the amount of your food so that you know exactly how much of everything you are eating. My weight scale. In the mornings when it is weigh-in day, I will use my scale and it is connected to an app on my phone. So it tells me what my body fat percentage is, what my body water is, my body mass, my lean mass, my skeletal mass. It has all these different metrics that it measures for me. And I love seeing that data. I love being able to compare it to the beginning of the year to see how far I've come. Also, I use that as a way to see what is working and what isn't. Another tool that I use is the app Lose It. I know a lot of people use MyFitnessPal, but a friend of mine put me on Lose It. I did end up paying the lifetime membership. I think I got a deal on it for like $89 or something like that. I use that to track everything that I eat. It is so easy to use. You can scan food packages. It'll read the label of the food and it'll put all of that information in. If you are using Lose It, I will put a link to my Lose It down below and then we can follow each other and hopefully hold ourselves accountable that way. Some of the supplements that I do use, I have started taking creatine. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Collagen, I take every single day. I add that to my smoothie as well. I do take 400 milligrams of a magnesium glycinate every single night. That is meant to help with sleep and recovery. So why this time is going to be different. I've started and stopped so many times. Like I said, over the last 2 years, I have consistently been consistent with getting back on the horse. So this is me getting back on the horse and I plan to be consistent. I feel like I've got a really good solid plan that I can follow. This time, I'm actually going to be kind to myself. I found myself sitting a lot with hitting plateaus and gaining weight back and falling off because I've been traveling or life is happening. And there's so many things that happen that cause stress and anxiety. And it makes me just want to binge eat in the evenings. So I'm really trying to get a hold of all of that and really just stay consistent and stay focused on the big picture of my goal. So I'm not doing anything extreme. I'm just focusing on having a calorie deficit, moving my body more, focusing on drinking enough water. That is probably one of the biggest struggles. I could be doing everything right. If I'm not drinking enough water, I'm not going to be making any kind of progress. That and also getting a really good night's sleep. Every single night, the goal is to get at minimum 7 hours of sleep. We shall see. It's really hard to do when you have young kids, but we're going to push through and we're going to really do our best to try to make that happen. So if you are also on a fitness glow up journey, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so that we can potentially hold each other accountable, root for each other along the way. Also, if you aren't already following me on Instagram, I would love it if you did. I have a free 7-day mindset reset that I've created. It is a digital download. You can find it in the link in my bio on Instagram. And doing that mindset every now and then puts me back into the right frame of mind in order to stay focused on the things that I need to stay focused on. Because life is so full of distraction. It is so hard sometimes to stay focused on the things that you want to accomplish. For me, I keep seeing all these like shiny new objects all over the place and then I get distracted. So the goal is to not do that anymore. Having the right mindset going into a challenge like this is fundamental. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it's inspired you at least to want to continue on your own journey. And I hope that you hit the bell so that you are notified for when my next video comes out, because I will be doing updates along the way and documenting every part of this glow up. Physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, all of the lees. You don't want to miss it.